Amy Chozick, Chasing Hillary, 10 Years, 2 Presidential Campaigns, and 1 Intact Glass Ceiling. Immerse yourself in the insightful world of Amy Chozick's Chasing Hillary, where she provides an exclusive and personal account of Hillary Clinton's political journey, covering more than a decade of political pursuits, personal challenges, and the vital lessons learned. As a dedicated reporter, Chozick confronts the complex relationship between the New York Times and the Clintons, which deeply affected her trajectory as a journalist, and examines the electoral defeat that shattered expectations. By exploring the ambitions, insecurities, and changing image of Hillary Clinton, this summary provides an unparalleled and engaging behind-the-scenes understanding of her rise and fall, both as a determined politician and as a person.
The Clintons, the Times, and Amy Chozick. Back in 2013, Amy Chozick decided to have her eggs frozen, knowing that her career focus would engulf her life for several years. As a New York Times reporter assigned to cover Hillary Clinton, Amy's endeavors intensified, especially when it was rumored that Clinton was planning another presidential run. Despite Clinton's many accomplishments and positive public image, Amy discovered a long-standing rift between the Clintons and her employer, the Times, stemming from the 1992 Whitewater scandal coverage. With her dream assignment at the New York Times in hand, Amy Chozick's life revolved around Hillary Clinton and the Clinton family back in 2011. By 2013, whispers about Clinton's ambition to run for president once more were making their way around, making Amy's job all the more demanding. As a result, she knew that starting a family would have to wait. The liberal press, including the Times, eagerly put together teams to cover what was anticipated to be a historic race. After all, Hillary Clinton boasted a 70% approval rating. She was well known for her myriad of admirable qualities and was an advocate against numerous challenges, including whale conservation, malaria, illiteracy, and anti-Semitism. Much of her actions were guided by her strong Methodist faith. However, Amy's elation over her career was dampened when she discovered the rocky relationship between her employer and the Clintons, a feud that extended over several decades. The tension began in 1992 when New York Times reporter Jeff Gerth covered the Clintons' investment in a property near Arkansas's White River, which led to the notorious Whitewater scandal. The Clintons were accused of receiving financial aid to purchase the property and offering political favors, but in the end, nothing substantial emerged from the scandal. Nevertheless, the icy relationship between the Times and the Clintons remained, leaving Amy stuck in the middle. Navigating Clinton's campaign world. Diving headfirst into the world of covering Hillary Clinton's campaign, the author quickly found herself at odds with the candidate's press team. An unwavering determination kept her filing stories, even in the face of backlash. Her article, Planet Hillary, a tongue-in-cheek portrayal of the many players in Clinton's campaign orbit, further strained her relationship with the team. Restricted to only communicate with the Clintons' lawyer, the author persevered, eventually regaining access to the press aides. Facing allegations of coded sexism, she forged ahead, knowing her actions were under close scrutiny. The moment the author started covering Clinton's campaign, she sensed tension as the candidate's press aides gave her the cold shoulder. Despite this setback, she pressed on, determined to share the most relevant stories from the campaign trail. Her persistence irked Clinton's press team, but the fire only grew stronger. As a New York Times Magazine writer, she published Planet Hillary in January 2014, accompanied by a satirical graphic portraying Clinton as a celestial being, encircled by a galaxy of supporters, advisors, and friends. The piece was intended to illustrate the complex dynamics within Clinton's campaign, however, it only managed to stoke the flames of discontent among those featured. The fallout from the article was swift, and the author found herself completely iced out by Clinton's press team, which she dubbed the Guys. Her only lifeline was Cheryl Mills, the Clintons' lawyer, who all interview requests and inquiries had to go through. As a reporter for a major publication, this arrangement was beyond frustrating. Refusing to allow this roadblock to define her career, she continued her work until the guys relented and eventually granted her access to Clinton's press aides. But the challenges didn't stop there. External supporters of Clinton accused her of coded sexism for using words like insincere, inevitable, and secretive in her articles. With watchful eyes monitoring her every move, the author continued to navigate the treacherous waters of political journalism. The Unforgettable Email Scandal. On March 4, 2015, Hillary Clinton tweeted that her emails would be made accessible to the public, marking her attempt to end the ongoing email scandal. As Secretary of State, Clinton had mistakenly used a private email server for official correspondences, which was revealed by a hacker in 2013. Eventually, due to mounting pressure, Clinton admitted to her error in judgment at a press conference in New York. Despite her efforts to clarify her intentions, the media heightened their scrutiny, and her trustworthiness continued to suffer. Consequently, the scandal persisted, casting a shadow over her campaign. Hillary Clinton's infamous email scandal began when she used a private email server for official state business during her tenure as Secretary of State. The issue was initially uncovered by a hacker in 2013, but the gravity of her mistake only became evident after detailed analysis of the emails. Clinton's attempt to dodge the issue ultimately proved unsuccessful, and she was forced to address it. At a press conference in New York on March 10, 2015, Clinton attempted to explain her actions, stating that she used her personal email account for convenience and with the State Department's consent. She hoped to avoid carrying two separate devices this way. Additionally, Clinton revealed that she had indeed deleted emails stored on her private server, but claimed that only those concerning her family and leisure schedules were removed. By holding the conference, Clinton aimed to reduce the scandal's impact by portraying it as a non-issue. However, her efforts backfired, and the media's fixation on her emails escalated. Intrigued by Clinton's admission, the author decided to investigate the matter further to draw attention to the deletion of around half of Clinton's emails from her time as Secretary of State. Clinton was understandably irked by the constant negative coverage, even comparing the media's treatment of the scandal to the reporting of Pearl Harbor. Unsurprisingly, the mounting pressure led Clinton to disclose the remaining emails to the public. By that point, however, her reputation had suffered significant damage. The fact that she admitted her wrongdoing in a fragmented fashion gave the impression that additional secrets could still surface. Allegations surrounding potential information leaks to individuals without security clearance, or even foreign governments, further fueled the scandal. Despite the numerous attempts to put the issue to rest, the email scandal refused to vanish and cast a dark cloud over Clinton's campaign. The ongoing saga highlighted the importance of transparency and trustworthiness in politics, as an unresolved controversy could dismantle even the most powerful pursuits. Clinton's underrated wit. One of the lesser recognized, endearing aspects of Hillary Clinton is her sense of humor, often showcased in her dry wit and quips. While her jokes resonated at private gatherings and fundraisers, this facet tended to get lost in the chaos of the 2016 election campaign. In fact, her playful barbs became targets for her opponents, leading to a more cautious approach. This resulted in less spontaneity and consequently, a duller media image. Many people are unaware of Hillary Clinton's humorous side, even though it regularly shone through in private gatherings. Her dry wit made her an engaging guest at fundraisers and cocktail parties with Wall Street bankers. For example, on meeting Goldman Sachs CEO Lloyd Blankfein, Clinton shared a witty repartee about trading a Republican red state to China in response to their push for control over the South China Sea. This type of humor heavily relied on context and exclusivity and didn't transfer the same charm to larger audiences. Nevertheless, Clinton didn't shy away from trying to showcase her lighter side on a broader stage. During the brief global craze of Pokémon Go, she encouraged a Virginia audience to teach their children to Pokémon Go to the polls. Though the pun wasn't extraordinary, it was certainly endearing. Unfortunately, as the 2016 election campaign progressed, Clinton's humorous side faded from public view. Her opponents, particularly the Republicans, heavily criticized her for her Snapchat joke, leading her to become increasingly cautious about making impromptu quips. The media picked up on her reserved demeanor, and her speeches became monotonous to the point where journalists began reporting her head nod count during televised conversations. A Times article even discussed her 43 nods per minute during a talk on community banking. The fun, engaging Clinton was overcome by the challenges of the campaign, leaving the public with an unnecessarily muted version of her true self. Clinton versus Sanders, the enthusiasm gap. Clinton's presidential campaign faced unexpected competition from Bernie Sanders, whose enthusiasm and engaging speeches captivated younger audiences. While Sanders filled auditoriums with thousands of passionate supporters, Clinton struggled to attract more than a few hundred people, mostly over the age of 60, to her events. Her speeches, often filled with historical anecdotes and weak jokes, failed to resonate with voters who were eager to hear about actionable plans to improve their lives. In comparison to Sanders' dynamic movement, Clinton's campaign felt lifeless and uninspiring. In what many assumed would be an easy race towards the presidency for Hillary Clinton, the Democratic Party endorsement became a heated battle when she was met with an unexpectedly fierce competitor in Senator Bernie Sanders. The stark contrast between their campaigns was immediately apparent. While Sanders' events were overflowing with energy and youthful vibrancy, Clinton's gatherings felt dreary and dated, akin to an endless funeral procession. Sanders' impassioned speeches attracted thousands of young supporters. He ignited a sense of revolution among his followers, who passionately believed in his vision for the future. On the other hand, Clinton's events rarely drew crowds of more than 500 people, mostly from an older demographic. The content of their speeches further highlighted this disparity. Sanders' messages resonated deeply with his audience, giving the impression of a movement that transcended conventional politics. In contrast, Clinton's speeches were filled with dull historical anecdotes, such as the tale of DeWitt Clinton and his connection to the Erie Canal. Though this story may have been an interesting piece of trivia, it failed to inspire the same enthusiasm and urgency that Sanders' speeches elicited. The audience at Clinton's events wanted to hear about concrete plans for improving their lives, not stories about long-deceased politicians. Clinton's campaign catchphrases paled in comparison to Sanders' powerful slogans. Her attempt at honesty in stating, "I would rather underpromise and overdeliver," did little to encourage excitement among her supporters. The once presumed inevitable march towards the White House became a strenuous duel, as Clinton's lagging enthusiasm struggled against the spirited momentum of Sanders' campaign. Unmasking Undercover Hillary. The 2016 presidential campaign was notably lacking in positive coverage of Hillary Clinton, and her own distrust of the media played a significant role in this. One powerful example of this was a story about her efforts to expose racial segregation in schools. In 1972, Clinton went undercover and identified a school in Alabama that was secretly segregating black children. This story had the potential to be influential, particularly among the black community, but Clinton refused to be interviewed on the subject. While Clinton and her aides remained closed off, Bill Clinton recognized the value of the story, using it as an example of positive press coverage and showcasing Hillary's character. In the heat of the 2016 presidential campaign, triumphs of Hillary Clinton were noticeably sparse in the media limelight, and this cannot be solely blamed on the press. Clinton's propensity for distance from the media played a significant part in shaping her public perception. For instance, the author sought to shed light on Clinton's remarkable feat in 1972 when she took a stand against racial segregation in schools. Following the Supreme Court's verdict prohibiting public schools from segregating black children, hundreds of private schools surfaced, primarily in the South. These institutions discreetly carried on the disenfranchisement of black students to retain their tax-exempt privileges. Clinton courageously went undercover, posing as a housewife intent on enrolling her son in an Alabama private school. Her probing questions revealed the school's discriminatory practices, providing a perfect narrative to bolster her campaign, particularly with black voters. However, Clinton declined an interview on this revelation. The author's assumption is that Clinton's underlying mistrust of the press, potentially including the author, thwarted her willingness to amplify this powerful story. Nevertheless, the author pursued the story without her participation. In an interesting twist, Bill Clinton encountered the account and immediately recognized how this illustration of his wife's character could enhance her reputation. By referring to the story frequently and expanding on the tale of Undercover Hillary, Bill Clinton seized a rare opportunity to cast her in a positive light. The hidden faith of Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton's deep-rooted Christian faith played an important role in her life and values, but was often overshadowed by her cautiousness to express it publicly due to past media ridicule. Throughout her political career, Clinton attended black churches, cited scriptural passages, and recalled her youthful encounter with Martin Luther King Jr. Profoundly influenced by religion, Clinton once promoted incorporating religious ideals into ethical politics, only to be met with sarcastic criticism from the press. If her convictions had been a focal point during her 2016 presidential campaign, it could have garnered new supporters and potentially changed the outcome of the race. As a devoted believer, Hillary Clinton spent over a year attending black churches every Sunday, echoing her authentic spiritual commitments. Demonstrating her passionate presence, Clinton often addressed congregations by reciting scripture, such as the Epistle of James and Prophet Micah, and discussing the deep-rooted issues of racism in the United States. Clinton's sincerity resonated with these communities as her genuine regard for spirituality was evident. Clinton's faith dates back to her youth. In 1962, she accompanied her Methodist pastor to witness Martin Luther King Jr. speak, leaving her with an everlasting lesson on the importance of actively participating in moving the world forward. The author speculates that if Clinton had emphasized her religious beliefs in her 2016 campaign, she might have secured a stronger support from the American public. However, Clinton was cautious about divulging her faith due to previous scrutiny from the media. In the early 1990s, she advocated for introducing religious ideals into ethical politics, only to be met with mockery and derogatory headlines from prominent newspapers like the New York Times. Such criticism, akin to bullying, led Clinton to downplay her faith during her presidential campaign. Unfortunately, her decision to remain guarded may have cost her potential supporters who value strong religious beliefs in their candidates. Clinton's underdog victory. In 2016, facing an unexpectedly strong challenge from Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton demonstrated her tenacity and ability to connect with everyday Americans. Through various informal interactions, she won the hearts of middle and lower-class Americans, ultimately winning the closely contested Nevada caucus. However, her momentum waned as she returned to her private sphere and distant image soon after the Democratic Party nomination. Back in January 2016, Hillary Clinton found herself in an unexpectedly difficult Democratic primary race against Bernie Sanders. With his ads flooding the airwaves and polls favoring Sanders, the threat seemed real, but this pressure only served to energize Clinton. Bill Clinton himself often said that Hillary shone brightest when she fought with her back against the wall. The Nevada Democratic Caucus in February 2016 underscored this tenacity. Despite being exhausted, Clinton connected with America's middle and lower classes by demonstrating her relatability and down-to-earth attitude. Upon arrival at Caesars Palace Hotel, she promptly sought out the hotel's staff to spend time with housekeepers, many of them Latina, taking photos, sparked conversations, and praising their tireless efforts. This direct, informal approach became the hallmark of Clinton's Nevada caucus campaign. She engaged with ice cream vendors, hotel employees, and cooks, going so far as to play goalkeeper in a children's soccer game. While trying to block a 6-year-old's penalty shot, she humorously cried, "Oh no, oh no." Hillary's dedication paid off with a victory in the closely contested Nevada race and eventual capture of the Democratic nomination that summer. Regrettably, her momentum waned upon her nomination, as she once more withdrew into her private world, creating an aloof image that would cost her dearly in the looming presidential election. Dueling debate strategies. Although Hillary Clinton made history as the first woman to be nominated as a presidential candidate by a major party, she faced a unique opponent in Donald Trump during the 2016 election. Television debates played a significant role in shaping the election, and despite her well-honed debating skills, Clinton was challenged by Trump's divergent approach. Notably, she effectively pointed out the misogynistic treatment of Alicia Machado, a former Miss Universe winner, by Trump. However, in focusing on this issue, Clinton's message on jobs, healthcare, and education was overshadowed, allowing Trump's face to dominate the news cycle. In 2016, Hillary Clinton broke barriers as the first woman to be nominated as a presidential candidate by a major party. However, her skills and experience were put to the test when she faced an unconventional opponent in Donald Trump, the Republican Party candidate. Arguably, Clinton had an advantage in the televised debates that form a crucial component of American presidential campaigns. Her first opportunity to showcase her debating prowess was on September 26, 2016. Despite consistently demonstrating her skills throughout numerous debates, including those against Bernie Sanders, Clinton's insecurity over her debating abilities remained. The only occasion when she displayed a weakness was during a 2007 debate with Barack Obama, wherein she provided an ambiguous response to a question regarding driver's licenses for undocumented immigrants. When it was time for Clinton to debate Trump, she proved herself a formidable opponent. She won all three debates, even drawing attention to Trump's avoidance of federal income tax. Nevertheless, Trump's aggressive debating style was capable of parsing Clinton and diverting her from crucial topics. In one memorable moment, Clinton drew attention to Trump's derogatory treatment of former Miss Universe winner, Alicia Machado, whom Trump referred to as Miss Piggy and Miss Housekeeping. Although this narrative resonated with voters and dominated news cycles, it also hindered Clinton from emphasizing vital issues such as jobs, healthcare, and affordable education. Ultimately, the focus on Trump's misogyny only increased his presence in the media, overshadowing Clinton's critical message. Resilience beyond defeat. Confidence filled the atmosphere on election night, as the Democrats anticipated a win for Clinton. Trump's victory sent shockwaves through those who supported her, especially the journalists covering her campaign. Distraught, they gathered to watch Clinton's concession speech, where she wore purple, possibly symbolizing penitence in her Methodist faith or empowerment from women's suffrage. Despite the devastating loss, Clinton's resilience shone through as she quoted Galatians 6 verse 9, encouraging her supporters not to give up hope. As they said their goodbyes, the author recognized her campaign team's loyalty and empathized with their pain. Reflecting on Clinton's thoughts during a 1993 speech, it's the connection to friends, family, and community that truly matters, possibly serving as a motto for Democrats moving forward.
In Chasing Hillary, Amy Chozick takes us on a gripping journey through the highs and lows of Hillary Clinton's political career, offering an insider's perspective on her profound strengths and shortcomings as a candidate, a strategist, and a personality. While highlighting Clinton's ability to captivate and inspire in more personal moments, Chozick also illustrates her many missed opportunities for connecting with the public and the mistakes made in her campaign. By delving into the intricacies of Clinton's relationships with the media, her team, and her political adversaries, this summary provides an invaluable understanding of the circumstances and dynamics that ultimately led to the surprising end of a seemingly unstoppable political path.